What's up, guys? This is Lucky, and today we're going to cover basically all the actual changes and patch notes and DLC and all the good stuff that's associated with patch 1.06. If you saw my other video, I basically cover all the new Outer Rim content and the changes that came with that and the new multiplayer screens and playlists and such. So if you haven't seen that yet, you need to go check that video out. And in this one, we're going to cover all of the patch notes. Here we go. Big changes here, and some of them not so good. Let's start with shields. Personal shield, squad shield, and blaster cannon all got a soft buff. They now deflect and absorb almost all projectiles, with the exception of the cycler rifle, the scattergun, and the proximity bomb. Which means you can't throw grenades at these people anymore, and they're virtually invulnerable. Try fucking saying that fast 5 times. But anyway, so when the personal shield is active, the player is unable to fire weapons or throw grenades like they were before, but they can still deploy droids, turrets, and call in heroes and vehicles. And I just feel like this is basically buffed personal shields way too much, to where really only using ion shot, ion grenade, having a scattergun or cycler rifle is now your only counters to Bubble Boys. And I'm not crazy about that change. I think it's poor. It's a bad decision. On the other hand, as far as the change to squad shields, these are the power-ups that you get, the big squad shields. Those things, this is a great change to them, because those things were death traps before, where if you got in them, people were throwing grenades in there, and it was really, they provided you no cover. And for a power-up, you want something a little bit special. You want something that actually gives you a little something extra. So I would love to see this change for the squad shields. For the personal shields, this change needs to go away. Now, as far as Leia's Trooper Bane goes, it doesn't shoot through the squad shield anymore, which it used to be a major deal. I don't know if this is a bug or a mistake on their part, or if it's by design. But whatever the fuck it is, they need to change this back, because this is a major nerf to her. That's the one major advantage she has, is that she can shoot through the squad shield. Or one of the major advantages she has. So this needs to go back. Trooper Bane needs to be fixed back so it does shoot through squad shields. Furthermore, not happy about the change to the personal Bubble Boy shields. Squad shields, I think it's a huge thumbs up and actually takes them to the place that they needed to be. Now, Bowcaster. They've updated the damage again to be consistent across all 3 charge level. Projectile damage is now 40, explosion damage is now 33, and the explosion radius is now 2 meters. And they lowered the time that you're able to hold it charged from 5 seconds down to 3 seconds. All these are great changes. Jump casting is back. And actually, I think Bowcaster is actually usable, not as a jump caster. I mean, you can actually use Bowcaster now, period. So I feel like Bowcaster finally is exactly where it needed to be. It's better than it was before they nerfed it, in my opinion. And it's still exactly where it needed to be. Barrage also, they had nerfed it several times. They've actually buffed it back up. They've lowered the fuse timer from 2 seconds down to 1.15 seconds, and I actually think this is a great change. They've also decreased the inner explosion radius from 3 meters down to 2 meters, so you have to be a little bit closer in there. But I honestly feel like the barrage here, it actually is a really good, very usable weapon now, and is very much fits its purpose. And it still has that longer cooldown that it had from the 1.05 patch that it needed to have at the beginning of the game. So I think Barrage now is finally exactly where it needed to be. Impact Grenade also, its damage increased from 90 to 100, so now it will kill people. It's back again. That's very good. They did decrease the explosion radius, so it's limited, so you really need to hit people basically head on to get your kill with it. And I feel like, again, with the increased cooldown that they gave it in the last few patches, Impact Grenade is exactly where it needs to be. In fact, in general, just about everything in this game, guns, star cards, everything, is where it needs to be, with a few exceptions, personal shields obviously being one. Flashbang grenades, they gave it an extra disorienting effect, and more importantly, this is my favorite part of it, now when you blind somebody, you get a little pop-up notification that says 10 points, plus 10 points for player blinded. So it basically notifies you that you actually blinded someone, and that is huge. That's amazing. I actually really been loving the flashbang grenade lately. It is like the anti-hero buster. Man, you could throw it out there in front of Vader or whoever it is, and then jump pack away from them and just go to town taking them out, and they have no idea where you are. But one of my problems with flashbang grenade is you have to be very careful with it. You can very easily blind yourself. So when you throw it out there, sometimes you don't know, outside of the little X that you get, that you blinded people. But now you know, you not only know if you did blind somebody, you know how many people you blinded. If there's 3 people there, you'll get 30 points, and it will tell you 30. That's telling you, hey, I've got 3 people in front of me that are totally blind right now, that I can take advantage of the situation. And it's fucking awesome. Jump pack, the cooldown was lowered from 25 to 22 seconds. That's okay. Scan pulse, man, the fucking cooldown was increased from 10 to 18 seconds and 8 to 16 seconds upgraded. And my god, I mean, you've now nerfed this thing into fucking oblivion, because it really did not need that much cooldown. It cost you a charge to use it. You'd already taken its active time from 7 full seconds down to 2 seconds. So, really? Was this really necessary? I just feel like this needs to be pulled back some. But again, I feel like Scan Pulse and Homing Shot and maybe Personal Shield are the only things that are not necessarily where they need to be. DL44 got its damage decreased. It's basically a range decrease. This is what should have happened to the DL44 a long time ago. But now that they've slowed its rate of fire all the way down to 180 rounds per minute from 220, I feel like rate of fire needs to come back up to 190 or 200, or you need to tweak the cooldown on it, because there's no reason I'm going to go to this gun now, and the only reason I've used it since the last patch is because it has slightly longer range, and now without the range there's no reason for me to use it. So I would think about this one. Bounty Hunter, they've modified it again. Again, this is highly abused trait. They dropped the cooldowns. Level 1, 25% drop chance. Level 2, 50% drop chance. And at level 3, there's only a 50% drop chance and 75% cooldown on each kill. So I think that's a good change, because that was overused. They've also added a new power-up. The T7 Ion Disruptor has been added to the power pool, and you charge it up, and you've got to wait. It's a long charge, and it releases this huge ion blast. It will take a third of a hero's health. It will also kill multiple enemies, and apparently it does lots of damage to vehicles, and there are reports that it will one-shot ATSTs if you shoot them in the back in their weak spot, or if they have you know, a little bit of damage already to them. But be aware, it does have a very slow charge. So actually, this is pretty good. That's a pretty good power up. Some other changes to power ups. Droids and turrets that you put down now will self-destruct 20 seconds after you've been killed. So once you've been killed, your turrets only have 20 seconds after that before they self-destruct. Blaster cannon. Kills now count towards leveling trait cards. It no longer takes splash damage from its own shots. And you're a lot harder to hit through it. And that's a really good buff to that, because I never liked blaster cannons. I'm not a big fan of them at all. But I think it needed a little bit of buff, and the fact that I'm a little bit more protected from taking enemy fire behind it, I think is a good thing. Viper probe and R4 droid. Spawn protection has been decreased from 2 to 0.5 seconds. And what I think that alludes to is that if you spawn in next to one, instead of having 2 seconds before it starts to shoot you, you've only got half a second now. So be dropping those in spawn points. Moving on to heroes, there's some big changes here. We've got basically changes to Luke, Vader, and Palpatine. Tweaks to its blocking between active and passive blocking of laser fire. Luke and Vader both now, when they deflect an ion shot or an explosive shot, the shot now bounces back with that same charge that it had before. Vader gets a huge buff in this update. His health goes from 1500 to 1650. His block ability time, that's the amount of time he can hold up his lightsaber and block incoming shots, has gone from 4 seconds to 8 seconds. Double. Decrease the cooldown of the lightsaber throw from 7 seconds to 6 seconds, and increase the distance of lightsaber throw. This is a massive, massive buff to Vader. He's got more health, he can block shots longer, and he's got more lightsaber throw, so he's able to hit people at range more. Big deal there. Luke, however, he got his health decreased from 1000 to 925, and he got his running speed decreased slightly. Although I will say it's not super noticeable, and he was so fast anyway that that's actually probably a really good change. And I think because Luke is so fast, he's still a massively dominant player. So I think a slight nerf to him is not that big a deal. And I don't know that Vader needed a buff, although I'm really glad that they increased his block time. So that's good in general. Boba Fett got the range of his blaster tweaked again. Basically, his damage starts to drop off at 45 meters instead of 30 meters, and the low end starts to drop off at 75 meters instead of 60 meters. So they're kind of reversing the changes that they made last time, but they still haven't buffed his flamethrower, and that's what most of us fans really, really want, and that's where he really needs to be fixed, because that's an ability I feel like that's really fucking weak now today currently. We've also got some vehicle changes, a few big ones. The T-47 airspeeder, this one isn't necessarily big. It can't switch tow cable targets during the middle of a tow cable. The AT-ST no longer takes damage from fire, basically, and not like blaster fire, like the actual fire, like on Survivors of Endor and stuff. And it changed the pitch of the grenade launcher. And most importantly, a big one that has been asked for since day fucking one of this game's launch is that there's no more Falcon Punch, meaning that vehicles of equal size will both be destroyed when they collide, regardless of whether the shield is active. What I mean by Falcon Punch is people would activate their shields and then they would just ram into vehicles. And you can't do that anymore. That's gone. Same thing for all Rebels stuff. Multiplayer game mode changes. Got some big ones here. They've added combat roll. This is huge. Double tap O, basically on PlayStation. You'll roll. That's like old school Battlefront. A lot of original Battlefront fans asked for this, and that's pretty awesome. From what I understand, you cannot actually see other players do it on your screen. You see them move, but you do not see the actual roll yet. And maybe this is just a bug, but that is going on, but you actually can do combat roll now. If you trigger a card right before death, you don't use the card. It will no longer result in the effect not triggering and the card going on cooldown. That's a big fix. Something a lot of people have asked for. And in basically private matches, they've added spectator mode, and it's going to be really cool for people who like to do videos and that type of thing. They've also added something called Team Play Focus, and it's a new feature in which you can look at an objective, hit square on PS4, and the objective is highlighted. And so basically, if you're in a big walker mode, rather than communicate to your teammates, not necessarily, you can point out which objective, like I'm heading to this uplink. So you can mark it, maybe another player marks it, and it will actually pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, so you know which objectives players are heading for. This can be really effective in Turning Point, in Walker Assault, pretty much all your objective modes. Scoreboard, they've made some nice changes here. They've added icons in mid-game, so you know who is the hero, who's in a vehicle. You can actually see players ping. You can see when someone dies. They've rearranged the score to be the first column represented. And like I said, if the player is faded out, that means that they're dead right then and there at that particular moment. Before the game starts, when you're in the deploy screen, it actually shows you what trait you have selected now, so you can change that at the last minute before you go in the match. That's a really, really nice change. They've also made a change to Heroes vs. Villains and Extraction game modes. As far as Leia and Palpatine go, their Shock Troopers only get 2 spawns now, or Leia's Honor Guards only get 2 spawns now. And that's going to be, those are really good changes for Heroes vs. Villains and Extractions. That does not apply to Walker Assault or Supremacy, though, so keep that in mind. In Hero Hunt, they've completely redone it, and I haven't played it yet. Hopefully I will this weekend, but it looks like what they've done is they've taken, as you play, the more damage you do to the hero, the more points you get. And the players that have the top 3 damage to the hero go into basically a little roulette wheel, and one of them gets to be a hero. So there's a degree of chance and a degree of skill. So you have to be doing damage to the hero, and then if you're one of the people who did the most damage that round, then you're going to go in the lottery basically to be selected to be the hero. Now, once you become the hero, your damage resets to 0, and everybody else gets to keep their damage. That means even these players who haven't been the hero yet are going to have a chance throughout the match to build their damage up and get a chance to be the hero. And this is going to give the most people the most chances to be the hero. Plus, they've upped the player count in that particular mode. So the hero is, there's going to be no camping or hiding for the hero. And they're going to have to be on their guard, and they're going to have to play their best, man, to stay alive. So I think these are great, great changes to Hero Hunt. And I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be a game mode that we may be able to come back to more and more. There's also been miscellaneous bug fixes, lighting, textures, audio, user interface, text, and collision changes. There's been just general crash fixes. They fixed spawns in a number of places, and I can see the tweaks. So all in all, just great, great changes all the way around. In general, some of this stuff I really love about the patch. The things that I really don't like, I do not like the change to personal shields. I do not like the change to scan pulse. And I'm not really crazy about the change to the DL44, but hey, it is what it is. So, overall, mostly good with a little bad. That being said, this is Lucky signing out. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Let me know what you think of the patch. Catch you next time. Peace.
ถอยล่ะ Empezate, puta!